Hi, this is Candice Knight from Blackmore's Night,
Richie Blackmore.
and we're talking rock with Dave and Shane.
Yes.
Legendary musicians. We love them on this program.
Yes.
Always what it's about here on Rock of Nations. Brother Shane from Philadelphia coming at you here from Detroit.
And Long Island, represent Long Island.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
There's Candice
From New
Blackmore.
York.
How are you? Candice Knight. Do you go by Candice Blackmore, Candice Knight? What was she?
Dude, we're friends now.
make-
You can call me Candy. That's fine.
Candy. Okay, Candy. Oh, that's
All
awesome.
right.
I love it. Candy. Very cool.
Do I go by my maiden name? Do I go by my married name? It depends on, how Richie and I are getting along for the day. So,
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, considering the solo album Seaglass, we wanted to make sure that we got it right.
yes, got my copy right there.
You just
That's
won
it. It's good.
You just won an award from Long Island, didn't you?
on my coaster.
I love that. Oh, that's so cool.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It still has the plastic on it, so I can do that. But I did. I actually was just inducted in the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame out here with not only the incredible musicians we have here, like everybody knows Billy Joel. I mean, like worldwide,
Yeah.
you can't, they think Long Island, Billy Joel, that's it. Like, it doesn't go
Right.
anywhere. But I mean, Mariah Carey, there's Joan Jett, there's Run DMC, there's like a list, Foghat's out here. There's like so many people, Dee Snider. I mean, the list goes on and on. And
Congrats.
thank you. And then Jerry Seinfeld, of course, we've got like, all the, so it's not just music, but it's also the entertainment section of Long Island as well. I think there's something in the water. So I don't know. There's a lot of very, very entertaining, colorful characters out here on Long Island. So I'm proud to, but I'm Long Island born and bred. So I've been here my whole entire life. So I'm kind of used to being surrounded by it.
Nice.
Awesome. How does it feel to be in that company? That's really an honor.
It really is. I mean, it's just amazing. I love being from Long Island. There's something just so magical out here. There's an energy. When I first met Richie, not only is he English and he's so worldly and he's lived around the world his whole life, but he was living in Connecticut. And I was 21 when I moved in with him. I was 18 when I met him, and now that I have a 15-year-old daughter, I'm like, don't do that. Just don't do that. Please, it was a different time, different, circumstances. But I moved in with him. He was living in Connecticut, and this was the kind of Connecticut that was just like in the middle of the woods. It was West Reading. It was make a left at the oak tree and a right at the pine, and there's nothing around for miles and miles. And it was beautiful. And maybe now I can enjoy it now, but I was 21 and I was used to being from like 24-hour convenience out here on Long Island. I've got the oceans, I've got, the farmlands. We're close enough to the biggest city, greatest city, in my opinion, in the world, but far enough
Yep.
away. I don't want that kind of chaos. So I felt like I had it all. And when I first met Richie, he was like, I'm going to take you around the world. And his favorite story, I think, about me is I said to him, why would I want to go around the world? I got everything I wanted here on Long Island. Like, why would I leave here? And then he took me with him, and now I can't stop traveling. And he's like, why don't you just stay home for 5 minutes? I'm like, no, there's too much to see out there, too much to do. So it kind of, now I have the travel bug for the rest of my life. But it was really a great honor being out here and being inducted and getting those awards, not just me, but they inducted Richie as well. And also my band Blackmore's Night, because obviously we began here and we continue out here. And it's amazing. It's so inspirational. There's so much nature out here, and all of our songs really are based and inspired by so much nature. So we get a little bit of everything. It's great. And what a great night that was. I got to perform 3 of my songs off Seaglass with my backing vocalist, rhythm guitarist, and my amazing gypsy fiddler girl. So the 3 girls were out there doing our thing, and we did Angel and Jezebel and Promise Me. My daughter got up and sang Promise Me, with me.
Oh,
So
I
it's
love it.
Right on.
great family thing going on. And we did Unsung Hero, of course, and we just invited a bunch of people from the fan club and our closest family and filled that room with love and positivity, and it was a perfect memory. It was amazing.
Well, congratulations. That's a heck of an award. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I was reading about Seaglass, and one of the things that really struck me was you're releasing such a personal record here. And before you release something like this, do you feel little trepidation? Do you feel relief getting it out there? You're creative, so kind of describe that, or don't you feel either in that sense? Do you just want to get your work out there for people to appreciate?
That's a really great question, actually. So, what I didn't realize, because I feel like I'm always in the now and there's always so much stuff going on here, being up, I'm a mom of two. When I put out my last solo album, it was Starlight Starbright. My children were toddlers. They were this big. They're now towering over me and they're teenagers, and I'm the shortest one in the so when they outgrow clothes, it goes into my closet. So I get, I tripled my wardrobe, which is nice. But so I've got two teenagers, but it's amazing how when you're trying to keep up with that grind of, household stuff and making sure everybody's okay and fed and laundry's done, but you're still doing your work. I mean, I think all moms, no matter what, are working moms. We're all doing it 24/7, making sure that household is run and everybody's happy and healthy, being where they need to be when they need to be there. But so time just kind of got away from me. And not only was it, being involved with the day-to-day of my children or my family and my work, touring or writing and creating with Richie and doing Blackmore's Night. But then of course, in that time frame of 10 years, we all lost like 3 years to COVID. It just like ate almost 3 years out of all of our lives
Yeah.
where and the bad part is that it happened to everybody, but the good part is that we all went through it together so we can all relate. It's like,
Mm.
did that actually happen? What a crazy nightmare where you couldn't leave your home, you were quarantined, we were living in fear. Things we took for granted, like hugging people, like couldn't do that, couldn't go to
Yeah.
the energy of like a concert, things we took for granted, right? You would get that amazing energy off a concert. Nope, can't
Yeah.
go to a restaurant, can't go to a movie. It was like if you talk about it, almost sounds like something out of Ray Bradbury or like, a sci-fi movie now, but we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right? And we all lived it. And it's like, how weird. But that ate a good amount of years out of our lives. And for my business, it took a while to get back, like the performing arts where you could clear it to go to a concert. And, then everybody was backlogged trying to, get into those venues because then everybody wanted to tour again. And then, so there was a lot going on there. And then in 2018, the year before COVID hit and knocked everybody on their, for a loop, I lost my dad, and it was a year's battle of cancer. That he was so strong and did everything the doctors told him to, and I just watched him deteriorate, and it was heartbreaking. And he was my rock. He was just this incredible man, and incredible. And so each one of those things, I've always found with music that it's so healing. I'm not a not that you'd know it from this moment. I'm not a big talker. But now that we're on interviews, I can do it for you. But when it comes to sharing deeply personal feelings, I kind of close up and keep it to myself, make sure again the kids are okay and everybody's okay, but inside you could be breaking, and you're just trying to keep it together for everyone else who counts on you and relies on you. So my healing would be going to writing. And whether I'm
Mm.
writing in journals, somehow getting it out. Journals, I find they're non-judgmental. They don't even, sometimes you don't even want a response. You don't want an answer. You don't want to fix it. You just simply need to get it out. You need that outlet. And so a lot of these songs came from these very poignant moments in my life, whether they were, you know, wonderful moments or whether I tend to write more from melancholy because there's so many I say there's, like when you're joyful, you're in the moment, you're experiencing, you're having a great time.
Right.
But you have that sadness and that melancholy. There's so many depths, so many levels, so many like colors of blue that you're painting and these words, and you're just like, so it all kind of just comes out. And I got a lot of good songs, I think, from those painful moments and how you have to heal through those moments and getting it out. So putting it out to the world, it makes you very vulnerable. Your heart is open, your experience that you just lived that broke you is out there for the world to hear. My shining light in that is that I find so many people have come to me and said, I know exactly what you're talking about. I lost my dad, or I lost my mom, or I lost my sister or brother or best friend, or, and so listening to your songs helped me. And
Right.
that I think is just that's just an incredible blessing. If one person gets helped by something you write that helped you heal and get on that path to healing, that's amazing. I'm so lucky that I get so many emails coming in from people all over the world that it's really helped them out. So that's why I continue to share.
Is it in writing for the music for your the solo release, Seaglass? How do you approach that? Is it different from Blackmore's Night? I mean, are you bringing in different musicians, going for different, ideas musically?
It's totally different. The process is totally different. So when we write for Blackmore's Night, Richie will almost always come up with the melody line. And of course, I'm around the house doing a million things. So he'll do it on the acoustic guitar. And then he'll call me in and say, look, I just came up with this. I've got this melody line. Can you sing it or hum it? And let's see, if it's out of range or if we need to amend it or whatever. And then I'll hum along to it and we'll come up with a solid melody line. And then I kind of disappear, walk through the woods or do my errands, and I live with the instrumental version of the song that he just kind of presented me with. And I always find that his songs are so visual, whether they're going to stay instrumentals or whether he's looking for words to be placed with them. You can close your eyes and you have pictures painted in your head as far as what that song wants to be about. So
Yeah.
I think it's like channeling. I'm trying to like channel what those pictures are and paint, those pictures that are painted. I kind of paint them into words. And hopefully they're words that other people can resonate with and relate to. They're storytelling songs. We kind of run the gamut in Blackmore's Night from all eras and all going back to the Renaissance times all the way up to now and ballads and rock and pop and folk rock and all kinds of things. So there's a lot that can be written with that and we do it together. Then we go into the studio, and Richie's very much, when we're in the studio, very much like the captain of the ship. So he'll, ideas in his head, very strong ideas as to what he wants the songs to sound like. We'll work with the producer that he calls in, Pat Regan, who we've been working with for forever. He even did the
Oh
last,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
I've heard
so,
the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
oh
legendary. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, he not only has done all of our stuff basically, except for one album, but all the way back to 1997. But prior to that, he did Stranger in Us All with Rainbow, 1995. Then he did the Deep Purple album prior to that, On the Road. So Richie's got long history with him. So he'll come into our house, and we have a studio dungeon bar room downstairs.
Oh, that's cool.
That's his man cave. I suggest
Yes.
if you don't have a dungeon bar room, I suggest all the men get one. It's
Didn't
that's
Ronnie
all.
have one?
It's
Ronnie had one, didn't he? I thought.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's also the reason my children will never have any fear because you go down those dark stairs and you're like in this dark pub and there's literally like medieval torture devices hanging on the walls
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God, that's great.
So
That's awesome.
we're the Adams family at the end of the road. Like they're just used to it. But so Pat will come in and he'll do the recording and Richie and I will be there and we'll kind of, like do that together. When I do my own stuff, I feel like the stars align, which is probably why it takes 10 years, but the stars have all aligned and everything comes out all at once. So the music, I just start singing the words that come into my head with the melody line that comes into my head all at the same time. So it's literally like one natural flow. And I'm
Oh,
not
wow.
proficient on any instrument, definitely not on guitar at all, but like I can plunk things out on the piano. So I write like a skeletal demo version on the piano and then I send that over to a producer that I have, Brendan Keenan, down in Glen Cove. And we go in and he listens to my ideas and we breathe life into it and we paint colors into it and that textures and take stuff out, put stuff in and really make it come to life just how I would hear it in my head.
Awesome. Very cool.
That's what was there is there a North Star track on this album you would say a song that everything orbits around? I guess that would be Seaglass, the title track, or
Class is definitely super important to me, 100%. It was born from the time, like we were talking about with COVID, and I was trying to keep normalcy for my kids, not, learning that, oh, these screens are like your new normal, and that's how everything is done from school to social activity, like everything was on there. I'm like, we got to get off these screens. Like, let's, shut it down, get outside. What's the one thing you could do? You go to nature for healing, like I've always preached. So took them to the beach and while one day when we were getting the sunshine and we were still safely away from everybody, but you could get the breeze and you could watch the ocean and it was so beautiful. And one of my children came to me and said, "Look what I found, this beautiful piece of it looked like emerald green." And we went, "Wow, look what's hidden in all this beige sand. Like, let's look for more. And that became our point of joy for those couple, for however COVID happened. So we would go out there, let's go look for more sea glass. And we found brilliant sapphire blues and emerald greens and amber browns, and you hold them up. And it was one day where I realized that it was this incredible parallel to the human condition, the sea glass, where, I mean, it wasn't only through COVID, but through life. You have people you lose, relationships break down, you break down, we get scattered and shattered, and life tumbles us and tosses us around just like the ocean does with this broken sea glass, and returns us back to the place where we have to make things work, and we're out there and our edges get softened and we're different but still the same somehow. But we've got to find those pieces of joy that still illuminate, that still are our treasures, just to keep ourselves going, and we become these beautiful treasures for other people who then get to know us and find us. And so it's kind of like it's a really important message, I think, for life. It definitely was for me at that point. It was like this epiphany. I'm like, oh my God, I get it. Unsung hero is a big one for women's anthems. I wrote that about my mom.
Mhm.
Promise Me for my children, but apparently like it's also just, it's just good guidelines to go, by. And Line Between was about my dad and his passing and remembering all of these amazing moments. So there's really each one of those songs I feel like they're all their own little pieces of sea glass. Each one of them I sort of
Yeah.
broke down but returned and are illuminated. So it's like choosing a favorite child. So it's kind of hard to narrow down, but there's quite a few that really touch my heart.
To hear those young voices on Promise Me, I mean, that was a whole different level. It was so precious, and I feel like that's the next generation right there. Is that kind of a fair takeaway from that? Like the next generation of humans expressing themselves musically. I mean, it's just such a perfect touch right there.
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you, my kids were in the studio and I am so happy that I caught them before their voices dropped. And now my 13-year-old boy is down here.
Yeah.
But it really was that innocence of childhood in that moment. And I still get goosebumps when I hear that. And for me, not only was it so personal and so amazing to have my kids on that, but like you said, I really feel like it's continuing on. It's not just about me. It's not a selfish thing about me. It's not an egotistical thing. Oh, I got my kids on there. It could be anybody's kids. It could be anybody's generation. This song will last the test of time, because you'll still be able to listen to it next year, 5 years, 10 years, and it'll still have that amazing childhood innocence, but still have those messages for that generation that, hey, listen, you're not always going to agree with me. I know I'm your mom and we're going to differ in opinion, and there will be consequences if you don't do the right thing, but I will absolutely always be your strongest support system. I will always be your mom, and I will always be your friend, and I will always be here no matter how old you are, how tall you get, how much you tower over me. Um, and I think the words in there were really important. My only concern is I've had single dads come to me and say, well, I can't be singing that. I mean, I'm mom and dad in my family. What do I do? I,
Right.
I want
Right.
someone says, I'm not just your dad, I'm your friend. Like, can you go
Right.
back and re-record that? And I'm like, I wish I
Yep.
could. Maybe I can. Maybe I'll do a karaoke version or something. I don't know. There's got to
Yeah.
be the message is strong no matter what. I wrote it from a selfish perspective because I'm the mom to my kids. But hey, this message really, really is for everybody and for kids of all ages too.
Just to follow up to that too, your kids have grown up in music. I mean, they there's so much music around them. I imagine there's obviously Blackmore's Night. There's your solo stuff. There's Rainbow. There's Deep Purple. And then there's the current stuff that's out there on the radio that they listen to. Is there anything they gravitate to? What has it been like to observe them taking in all this music from everywhere?
My children could not be more different than each other.
Mm.
I keep trying to explain to them when they're like, they literally look at the other one at this point, now being teenagers, it's a little, they used to be best friends forever, and now they're going through this part. But I said, listen, your roots are your ancestry. The trunk of that tree is our family, and you guys are going to branch out. You're going to find your own paths. We're going to support each other. You're going to go your own ways. It doesn't mean that, just because that person's doing this and this person's doing that, doesn't mean that you don't support that person. Let them find their path. Let them find their way. My daughter is 110% lives and breathes music. She has almost
Mm.
5-octave range. She does all the
Wow.
um,
Wow.
It's incredible. She's an opera singer. She performed at Carnegie Hall. She performs at the Stoller Center. It's like she's really in,
Wow.
also a Swiftie.
Oh yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Hard to avoid.
But then she's also the kid who like will learn songs in other languages. Like listen, she'll find stuff like this obscure stuff, listening to like Eurovision or whatever, and then she'll go out and like listen to classical music, and she'll talk to you about what her favorite classical piece is. But what I love too is that she's also a guitarist, and in my opinion, she's got the best guitar teacher in the whole world.
Oh my God.
So,
Yeah.
so my husband and her sit there and actually jam together, which is amazing. My
Oh,
son is
that's cool.
fabulous drummer. My son is an amazing drummer. He can sing, chooses not to, doesn't want to get involved with the music realm because his sister's involved. She owns that realm according to him, but he does all sports. So he's all like basketball and football, full on out, and he aces it. He's amazing at it. I'm hoping someday he goes back to drums because he's absolutely incredible. And he listens to only like rap music.
Just get the rhythm thing going. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Where to begin with that whole thing. So yeah,
That's awesome.
it's interesting. They both have the same like upbringing, but whoo, totally. I don't know. I fasten my safety belt and I'm just along for the ride at this point.
Yeah, kids like those beats. I gotta say, they like the beats. But
That's how
Yeah.
you can tell he's a drummer too, because he gets so
yeah,
rhythmic stuff. So I kind of get that, but there's just so much like, I don't know. I'm old school. Like there's so much profanity in that kind of music that
Yeah.
even when he comes to me, he's like, Mom, listen to this. I'm like, oh, but no. Like I want to bond with him over the music, but I
Right.
can't.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I'm trying, dude. I'm trying my best. But I'll tell you, his favorite track is Dark Carnival on
Okay.
Seaglass. He
Okay.
makes me play that on repeat in the car. He wants it to be his ringtone when he calls me.
Nice.
nice.
I don't know whether it's a compliment or an insult because it's the only track that doesn't have my voice on it. So
Oh,
Uh-oh. Kids.
yeah.
I'm gonna do.
When he's 21, 22, he'll change and put another track on his ringtone.
I survived that long.
Is there anything that you still keep privately, artistically private from Richie when you're doing this kind of stuff? Or is he still, do you ever just like, hey, will you listen to this? Tell me what you think? Or do you bring him in on this at some point?
99.9% of the time, everything that I do on my solo albums is private from Richie.
Mhm.
Because as we said before, Richie really likes to commandeer the ship and which is amazing. And I love it. And he should. He's a musical genius. He's been doing it for 6 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
incredible. But then, like Richie's favorite song on this is Promise Me. He loves that. He wanted it for Blackmore's Night. I knew if I waited for him to put it on the next Blackmore's Night album, then he would get behind the steering wheel and be like, let's take this out, take that out. Between him and Pat, and I kind of sit there like, wait a second, but that's not how it's done, no. And then I have to redo it. Like with Now and Then, they took out my whole middle eight, and I had to wait to put out a solo album to put the middle eight back in so people could
Oh,
hear that.
no.
I know. And as a lyricist, I write where there's this flow. It's like beginning, middle, end. Like every part is important to me. So
Yeah.
taking out a middle part, I'm like, no, that's the whole thing. But no, they didn't want it in. So I kind of let them do their thing in the studio. But yeah, it's interesting. Richie, he's amazing at basically he's not just a guitarist, he's a composer,
Mm.
like he
Yeah.
thinks of for the sake of the song before he thinks of his ego, which is incredible for me to watch. So I've seen him go into the studio and put guitar parts, guitar solos, incredible guitar solos that people would love to hear in the middle of songs, and then walk out. Pat will, our producer will like put other parts around it, and then Richie will go back in and listen and be like, you know what? It doesn't need the guitar there. Let's take the guitar out and let's put a hurdy-gurdy in there instead, or a recorder part. I'm like, no,
Mm.
don't put the recorder in there. Leave the guitar in there. Leave the guitar in there. It sounds really good. So it's interesting. He definitely has a vision, and what he has in mind is it's hard to. He's a very strong leader. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So
He,
when it comes
he-
to our stuff, it's interesting to watch his process, and I learn so much through watching his process. So when I do my own stuff, I've actually learned a lot from him. The only time I ever really went to him with these songs was when I was working, trying to get Pat. When Blackmore's Night works, we get Pat in the studio. He comes in. We have to start at 3 o'clock. Richie's very, fastidious about starting at 3 o'clock. He doesn't need, Richie won't be in the studio, but he wants Pat there working at 3 o'clock. He's still having breakfast. He just woke up. So
Yeah.
he's on musician's hours. But
Yeah, yeah.
so I'll say I'll go in at 1 o'clock, I'll sneak in and I'll do my parts on my stuff from 1 to 3 and work with Pat on that. But there was at one point, and it was there was Seaglass and then Last Goodbye, where I said, Pat, these are the songs. And I write pretty simply, with melodies and chords and like, this is it. It was basically two chords. It wasn't Stargazer, it wasn't Gates of
Yeah.
Babylon. Like it was two chords. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so Pat was looking at me like, I don't get it. I'm not hearing it. So I was so frustrated. And I came upstairs and like, Richie, can you just come down and just play this? And of course, Richie picks up the guitar and he magically comes out with this rolling arpeggio chords that I had come up and he's like, do you hear it here? Do you hear it here? Do you want this transition, this passing chord? And I'm just like, I don't even care anymore. Just keep playing. Like it's hypnotic. It's like I could feel the
Yeah.
waves, feel the rise and fall of the waves. I could feel like it's just so, oh my God, it's amazing. It defies explanation and words. But so in moments like that, he'll come down and he'll say to Pat, okay, this is what she's looking for, and he'll help me out from a musical perspective. And it's the greatest thing in the world because how cool is that to be able to have your other half,
Yeah.
who's that guy, come downstairs and help you out when you need his help, but also be hands off enough when you're doing your thing to let you do your thing. So it's pretty cool balance.
Richie's got
That's
to be so proud watching you do your thing. He's got to be so proud, right? Like that's my gal right there. You're right, like any husband would be. It's got to be awesome.
I know, but keep in mind he's English, so they don't show a lot. There's not a lot of PDA there. They don't show a lot of.
True.
They don't even
Yeah,
smile.
that's true. Yeah, yeah,
You can get this guy to
yeah,
smile. That's a huge, emotional outburst for him. But like he says, the English pastime, national English pastime is to complain. So, but the fact that he actually loved some of the songs on this album, and I get that he's not gonna, he didn't even say he didn't. I'm just thinking, I love that he loves certain ones he gravitated to, and he was just like, this was in my head all day. Or, once you can talk to someone who is that hard to impress musically, and because he really is super hard to impress musically. He's heard it all, done it all, knows where everything these days came from. It's like
yeah.
oh
that
yeah.
line came from this song in the 60s, and that one was, I'm like,
Yeah.
I know. But it's amazing for that kind of support for him to just like hear the stuff and love the stuff. And I'm 35 years, Richie and I have been together. So we've been through a lot, and his support and his words mean everything.
That's
Are
awesome. Yeah.
are you guys big music collectors? Because your cover of Nature Boy on this record, very very amazing, but it's such a it's almost a mythical song at this point. I mean, how did you come upon? It's an old soul type festival. How did you come upon deciding to cover that song for this? And do you guys have lots of records that you're throwing on? Do you have a record room, that kind of thing?
Well, his record room is that dungeon bar room downstairs, so he still has tape down there. Of course, he also has CD players and stuff, but I just recently taught him how to stream, but I still have to kind of sit over his shoulder and like put this stuff in. And he's getting there with he doesn't have a cell phone still, so we're getting there with technology with him, but he doesn't definitely. I mean, the way that I reach him at this point basically is just sending out carrier pigeons or smoke signal because he definitely is not at a cell phone anytime soon. But we do have vinyls. My daughter has vinyls too. So I love that vinyls are coming back because then I don't need like a microscope to read liner notes on these CDs. And the sound is so
Yeah,
much,
yeah.
the sound is fantastic. And it's got that bottom end. It's so much richer and warmer. But Nature Boy, believe it or not, that was one of my dad's favorite songs. And when my dad was really sick, his birthday was in November, November 7th. And my dad brought me up with all of the old classics. So Nat King Cole, Artie Shaw, big band sounds, like he knew all the songs from the 30s and 40s. He was born in 37. So one of his favorite songs was Nature Boy, and he also loved Crazy by Patsy Cline.
Mm.
I
Crazy.
lost him in December of 2018. But in November, I'm thinking, what do I get for him? I mean, he doesn't need another pair of socks, or he doesn't need a tie, and he doesn't need, what's
Right.
something that really means something? And luckily, Pat, our producer, was here, and I said, you know what? I want to record his two favorite songs for him. And I went in and I recorded Nature Boy and I recorded Patsy Cline's Crazy. And I'm so excited. On his birthday, I went and I put it, he had a CD player and headphones, and I put it on his head. He listened to it in the kitchen and he went, that's nice. And he walked out of the room. And that was not the reaction I was looking for. And then
Right,
5
right.
minutes later, he came back in and he went, wait a second, was that you? Was that you? I'm like, yes, singing. He went, let me hear that again. And
Oh,
then he
that's
listened.
awesome.
He just like never like took it out of context. He just was like, oh, it's just a song. Didn't even realize that it was my voice. So, but he loved it so, and it's such a magical, magical song. But then, of course, when I was looking for songs to put out on this album, it was hard. I mean, I was looking, my mom said to me, what about, so you have these two songs already recorded? And I said, I can't because they're dad's, like I can't, they were presented to him in such a personal way that it feels weird to like share that. And she's like, well, maybe, when you're ready, no rush, but when you're ready, listen to it and see what you think. And I listened back to Nature Boy and I thought, you know what? I'm really proud of the way this one came out. I think it's so haunting and mesmerizing. And also, what a great sort of like nod of respect for my dad again on this album, to be able to share that with everyone. And so my arm was twisted a little bit, but I definitely, once I delved back into it, I thought it was a good idea to share it. I still will, even though my son is such a into the rap thing, I still sing him to sleep with all old standards, like I'll Be Seeing You, Moon River,
Mhm.
and he falls asleep like that. So daughter, I can't sing my daughter to sleep. She breaks into harmony instantly and then she doesn't fall asleep. So, so that's a little, but that's the story behind Nature Boy.
For people who don't understand, I mean, I fledgle with the guitar, but I haven't written one coherent song yet. Maybe someday I will. But for people listening, and maybe like us who don't, we're not songwriters, we don't understand what it feels like to have a piece of music or several pieces of music be so personal. What is that like? I mean, you create it, it comes out of you, and then there can be a fear of, like you said, of putting that out, or it's maybe you don't want other people to hear it just yet. What does that feel like? How does that work for people who don't write, who don't understand that connection to a personal piece of music?
It's really just it's the spectrum of the rainbow in emotions. It's just like you're excited, but you're nervous, but you share too much, but you didn't share enough. But what you left this on the cutting room floor, but that is maybe a bit too much for people, and you're giving that maybe they won't relate to it. But who cares if they don't relate to it? Because it's about it's literally like every emotion and every thought that you can put into it from your heart to your head, connecting, like all the synapses are sort of shorting out, being able to put that out there. Um, it's kind of like the same thing like when you step on stage, you have that energy, but it's the nervous energy. But with the recording of things, because it's on your time in your comfort zone, it's even deeper, it's even more personal than when you kind of step on a stage and you share for the clocked in, clocked out 2 hours, and then the promoter shuts you down because you want to play all night, and then they're like, no, we've got, it's union times, you guys got to get off the stage.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's like a different world, that energy on stage compared to how deep you can get on songs. It's every spectrum, and it's like the depths of how much love you could possibly have for something or for someone. And it's therapeutic and it's cathartic and it's these epiphanies that it's the best therapy session you can come up with, because it not only helps you, but it helps you to think of other things and other perspectives and opens your world even more. I know it's a vague answer, but really there's so much. And I guarantee if you can play an instrument,
No,
even if you can't play an instrument, honestly, if you just can walk around and just like hum a melody, you've got the makings of the beginning of a song that's only and like personally and individually yours and your sound
mm,
and your touch, which is amazing because it's your fingerprint on this world, really.
mm, cool.
Do
Awesome.
you, what do you see ahead here? What's in the near future? Are you going to tour this? Are you planning on
Yeah,
How,
we've got 6 tour dates coming up with Blackmore's Night. So at this point, we're like wherever we can drive to, take a couple of days off, drive to the next place because Richie's got a bad back, so it's and other things going on. So for him, he needs to stretch his back. It's all that sitting. It's not the playing. The playing is the best part of it when you get there and you're on that stage. It's sitting in the car, or sitting in a plane, or sitting in a hotel room, sitting backstage. If you have a back problem to begin with. It's not great. So we've got 6 tour dates coming up. We're going everywhere from Delaware, Pennsylvania, to upstate New York. We've got New Jersey. So a bunch of them coming on. And that's coming up quick in November. And what we normally do, and I'm so excited to be able to do this, is after the opening band comes on, or actually it might be before the opening band, we have a band called the Wizards Consort that opens for us.
Mm.
I will just take the girls, just me and my girls. I've got my beautiful, fiery, redheaded gypsy fiddler who I love. She's an incredible classical violinist, but on some of these songs, they're more country tinged. And I was like, all right, Claire, I need you. Her name is Claire Birmingham. And I said, listen, I need you to leave the classical at home. She's born in Texas. I said, you need to bring your Texas. Leave the
Mm.
classical, bring your Texas. She's like, I got you.
Nice.
On there. So, but I'll bring my girls and my backing singer, rhythm guitarist, Jesse Haynes, the dark gypsy, beautiful dark-haired gypsy. And the three of us, it's pretty cool actually. Even the visual, like the redhead, the blonde, and the dark-haired girl. And we're all out there. And we've played Angel and Jezebel and Promise Me and Unsung Hero. And so we sort of warm up the warm-up band who warms up for us on stage after. So it's a perfect circle.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's cool because the fans get to hear some of the songs off of Seaglass. And it's in such a scaled down way that I'm playing it. It's like very intimate and very personal, just the three of us out there. So it's not full band sound. So it's like you're kind of hanging out at my home on my couch or in my living room or in the dungeon room and just playing those songs just for the fans. And it's great. It's got great responses. So at least they get to hear a little bit of it live.
just don't
That's
play
awesome.
Atlantic City.
Yeah.
They take instruments there. No, I'm just,
Yeah, geez, yeah. Oh,
I
jeez.
heard
The
that.
Nationals. Yeah,
yeah.
that's terrible. The heart thing,
I don't
yeah.
know if you heard about that with Heart, but
I did. Richie's had that done in London. He's had that done a bunch of places.
Oh no.
horrible.
And they always I mean, they're always eventually going to catch the person, I think. Like they caught that guy.
Yeah.
Richie left his guitar on stage. It was doing the feedback thing, and some fan just reached up, grabbed it, pulled it, and took off through the audience. They caught him in the bathroom with it. Like, what were you
Oh my.
thinking?
Dude,
Like,
what are
oh,
Oh
you
my God.
doing?
hide that. You put your
Dude,
jacket over
that's
it? Like, what do you think you're doing with that?
yeah. Right.
People
Oh
see you. You've got eyes. What are you doing?
yeah. That's gonna be terrifying for a musician because your instrument is that extension of you, and that's got to be just terrifying. I mean, oof.
Especially some of these instruments that have been with you, that you have honed, that you have like literally sat there and filed down and made your own. It's not just something you pull out of a shop. Like a lot of these are not only emotional
Right.
connections, but
Right.
Richie's taken bridges off and redone this and changed this and scalloped his fretboards and there's a lot of person that goes into that. So once that's gone, that's really tricky. I'm really glad they got that back.
What do you think
Yeah.
Richie's learned from you all these years? Something that he didn't expect to learn from being with you.
Well, it's definitely not pick your socks up off the floor because that is still, I don't understand. That's not a guy that does that.
He's not gonna he's not is he there? He's not gonna take offense to that, right? No, I'm kidding.
35
I'm
years,
kidding.
he takes offense.
I know. I'm joking. I'm
Actually, when
joking.
you see us on stage, it's literally like this is how we banter. It's like he pokes at me, I poke at him, goes back and forth. It's
That's
it's
great.
like you're at our dining room table. It's hilarious. Like we just because we're
Yeah,
real,
yeah.
like there's nothing fake and
Right.
forced. Like, what is I think maybe I think maybe he's starting to get more into communication. And I think that's so important. And I think that a lot of times when he was in other bands or in other relationships, either, um, he got a lot of inspiration musically from Friction, which is great for the songwriting process for him, but not so great for you as a person because it kind of tends to eat away at you after a
Mm.
while. I'm there to support him as a person first, a musician second, and I'm his well-being and his mental state and his emotional state is a number one important to me before anything else. So, but I think we have a really good, respectful relationship where we're able, if there's an issue or a problem, even if we take time, I'm going to give you time to chill out, cool down, and I'll be over here, or I'm going to take a drive and I'm just going to like clear my head. But we always come back and then discuss whatever the issue is afterwards and clear it and make progress that way. And I think that's really important to do. I don't think he had that in his life before, whether it's professionally or personally. Yeah.
That's something good to
I
have.
have, yeah, totally. I gotta check my math, but I think is it almost 30 years of Blackmore's Night? Is that about right? Almost 30 years of
I believe this
doing
might be,
the Blackmore.
yeah, 1997 we started.
Wow.
So, that means I started when I
How's
was
that
five
feel? I
years
mean,
old, you
You're 5 years old.
that's right. I mean, that's huge. That's an accomplishment. Is that what does it feel like? All that time, that's gone by, and you guys are still doing it, still creating, still playing. That's got to feel pretty good.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I mean, when I first started doing what I'm doing, I wasn't the girl who thought I'm going to be front and center stage. I didn't have that courage and that confidence. I loved music. I mean, it was my breath and my blood and my religion, and it was like my stress reliefs and, my escape from the pressures of the day. Like it was everything to me, but I didn't think that I would be the one front and center stage ever. And then when I met Richie, of course, I was going to school to be around, I thought I'd be working for a record company or a radio station or something, just to be around music. So, when I met Richie, obviously my life took a complete left turn and we wound up creating this music. And first, he took me on the road with him with Deep Purple in 1993. And then he reformed Rainbow, and I happened to be around, and he knew that I was always writing, scrawling in my journal. So when they needed lyrics, they said, he called me up and said, here's a backing track. Do you think you can write some stuff for it? I had to go up and visit them. They were in Massachusetts and I was on Long Island. So hour and 15 minutes on the ferry. I said, yeah, let me see what I can do. He said, if not, don't worry. We've got a guy coming in from, a professional lyric writer coming in tomorrow. I've got, we're going to do a plane ticket, but if you can, let us know what you come up with. So on that hour and 15 minutes on the ferry, I wrote 14 verses, and then I got up there with my notebook and my pen. I said to the producer, this is what I came up with, if you guys like it or not, whatever. And the producer took the words and circled 4 different groups of verses and then put 2 other verses together as the chorus and said, great, we've got it. Thank you. That wound up being Black Masquerade. So, which wound up actually, that album wound up going to #1 in Japan. So it kind of, swept me on this musical journey. But then while the other guys were doing their backing tracks, Richie and I would be sitting there and he'd be playing acoustic guitar and we would just be writing our own songs. And it was away from the rock world because in the 90s, mid 90s to, you have to imagine it was so different than what he grew up with and knew for decades from the 60s, 70s, 80s. Everything was so individualized and it was so creative and creativity based. And you could hear the difference. Thank you. Oh, here's Richie. He's giving me some coffee. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Richie, how are you?
Hey, Richie.
Hey,
Oh, switched up my coffee for me. Okay, so that's what he learned to bring me fresh hot coffee while I'm doing
That's
it.
cool.
There you go.
Can we add that? Can we pencil that one in? But,
Can he make an appearance and wave at us? Can he wave at if he wants to?
put your hand over. He's not in.
If he doesn't want to, that's okay. That's
Hang on. No, there's the camera. Look, there's
Oh,
his mug
nice.
of coffee.
I love it.
It's one of the kids' drawings. That was his mug of
Oh, that's nice.
That's
Oh, wait.
awesome.
I think you guys might actually get a treat. And that's for you. That's Richie playing the guitar. He just like strummed the guitar.
Oh my
And
God. Oh,
very
that's
Oh,
cool.
geez.
strong sense for you guys. That's his presence. Um,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, so we started writing for ourselves. And I mean, back in the 60s when he started, he actually started prior to that, but when he started, getting traction with Purple, you had Jethro Tull and
Okay.
Cream, Jimi Hendrix, and like you turn on the radio, you knew who it was instantly, and everybody
Yeah.
had a strong identity. There was no like copycat, like it
Yeah.
was amazing. And then in the 90s, he started getting, when he was writing his stuff and being the riff master as he is, coming up
Yeah.
with these rock riffs. Jack the Riffer. Yes, thank you, sir. Okay, I will share that. Jack the Riffer, he calls
I
us.
like that.
Yes.
Jack the Ripper. I like it. I like that.
So, but the corporations that were the record companies in the 90s were like, well, you need to send us demos. We need to approve, the lyrics and the titles of this. And there's too many songs about that. You have to do some. And he's like, make a demo. I haven't made a demo since I was 16 years old. What are you talking about? Like why
Right.
demos for you? And that world, the
Yeah.
music world became something very different than what he knew, loved, was used to. And so we started writing our own songs. And when we wrote our songs, we didn't write them to put them out to the world. We wrote them just for us. And that was his escape from the pressures of the rock world. And our
Yeah.
record company in Japan said, can we hear what you guys were working on? And so we let them hear it, and they said, "Oh my God, we'll put this out for you in Japan if you want." And so, actually, we were going to name the band Violet Moon at that point, and the
Oh,
Japanese guy said, "You know what?" He said, "Richie, if you don't attach your name to it, nobody here is going to know who it is. So we really need you to put your name on it." And Richie goes, "I hate putting my name on everything." It's Richie Black. Look, Blackmore's this. He goes, "I just want to put it, And they said, "No, we really need your name on it." So we changed the name to Blackmore's Night, and that's
yeah.
what you have out there today. So yeah, 27. We started in 1997, so close to
That's
30. Yeah.
just the
It's an
freedom
incredible
to
journey.
write. Yeah, the freedom to write your own music. It's again for Richie. It had to have been like he can be his own artist again. Right, as opposed to the corporate stuff and people in suits who don't play an instrument saying do this, no, do that. I mean, I've just read the stories of how awful that can be in the highlight of the industry back in the day. But to just be able to be an artist again and do your own thing together, it's just there's a freedom there that you reclaim, right?
Clean slate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think that the freedom used to be for him in rock and roll and was for decades. But then after a while, those the shackles start going on and you need to be in this box and you can't branch outside of that box. You've got to be in this box. It's okay for a little while until that box starts becoming confining, and then you really feel the compression of that box, and then you get a little claustrophobic. So what he loves about this project is being able to stop talking about me. I'm not going to stop talking about you. Are you coming to sit down? Would you?
Come on, welcome in, sir. Oh my God.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Richie. How are you?
Hey.
He doesn't do this
Oh my
ever.
God.
Oh, wow.
Have you?
It's not
He
expected.
goes, stop talking about me. Like he's walking back and forth.
I think I just forgot my name. I forgot everything right.
Yeah. I don't know where I am right now.
No, I know.
So we were just talking about how different, like
Yeah,
the rock,
yeah.
and how I was going to say how you found a lot of musical freedom in Blackmore's Night, which I think was what really kept you doing it for this amount of time, was because you could play acoustic or electric or hurdy-gurdy or nickel harp or whatever you want to, and also folk rock music or rock and roll music or Renaissance music or instrumental music. And once you got that creative freedom, it's hard to go back in that box, right? Of only one genre.
Not really.
All right. No.
Thanks
How
the
did you do it, Richie? How did you do it?
How did I do what?
How did you
How did you go from so many different genres, from being your own creative person, and then doing some of the stuff that I guess would be called more corporate? Like, did you ever feel trapped, or not really?
Um, Unfortunately, there was a lot of people in the business called A&R people, anal retentives,
Ah, okay.
and they had a tendency to get in the way of,
Mm.
I think, music in structure. Like Candy was saying, when you go back to the Cream and Hendrix and all those people, they were just free to do what came naturally to them. But obviously, as time went on, it became a business. And and these business people got involved and they would start telling the musician what to play and how they should project themselves. So I obviously going off on a tangent, that's what I noticed. I didn't like that particularly. Obviously, it wasn't about music anymore. It was about selling oneself and making a product that was acceptable. And it still is to a certain point.
Mm.
Music was much freer, obviously, in the 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
I grew up on all your American people, Buddy Holly, Duane Eddy,
Jimi Hendrix.
well, Jimi Hendrix,
Dylan.
Bob Dylan. I didn't particularly like the English stuff too much, but so it's funny how it reversed itself. The Americans got the English contingent coming over and doing the Ed Sullivan show, and things changed. Um, I really don't know what I'm talking about. So,
Taking it all
Richie,
in.
Richie, I gotta ask you this because I just bought this record, but the Steven Wilson remix of Made in Japan just came out. Were you involved with that process, or did you hear it?
I didn't even know about it.
Really?
Um, it's partly my fault. I don't show too much interest in, reissues and doing all that. I remember being in Purple, and every year they would, well, every couple of months, they would repackage something by just putting it into a different bag, a different colored bag, and selling it again. And I thought that was a kind of rip-off to the people. I thought, made in Japan, it came out once, twice, great. That's it, leave it alone. But they keep re-releasing it because I suppose there's some money to be made. And so I have no idea what they're doing. Like you just said, they just released again, Made in Japan.
Yeah, Steven Wilson.
Time.
Yeah, it's considered to be the great, if not the greatest, one of the greatest live albums of all time. So there is that.
That comes into it, I suppose. I mean, it's nice to have you say that. It was funny because I noticed that when we first did Japan back in 1970, no matter what we did on stage, the audience would applaud. So Ian Gillan and myself started playing tag on stage. He would touch me and the audience would roar. I would run after him. He'd hide behind the amplifier and I'd touch him. The audience would roar again. It was ridiculous. And then Ian would just say one word and they would scream and yell. And then I would play one note and they would yell and scream and applaud. And I get a standing ovation for playing one note. And I mean, it was funny because they so appreciated the fact that we made it to their country.
Yeah.
It was a long way away. I don't like traveling particularly. The Japanese are fantastic, but it's getting there. I think that they applaud just for the fact that you make it to their country. And I remember talking to Frank Sinatra came up to me once and he said, "Who the hell are you?"
And that is the English sense of humor, my friends.
That's it.
I like it.
Richie, why the Stratocaster? What stood out? I'm sorry, I just had to ask. Like, what is it about the Stratocaster that stood out to you?
I like the sound that Jimi Hendrix got. He didn't have to rely on sustain. He just got this very pure sound, but very punchy. So I knew Eric Clapton's roadie, and Eric had given him a guitar that had terrible action, was out of tune, intonation wise. And I said to the roadie, I said, would you sell that to me? And he said, yes, 60 pounds. So I bought it off of him. And that was my initiation to the Strat, was indirectly from Eric Clapton.
Mm.
And I told Eric that, and he just basically ignored the fact. but no, we get along very well. And but he was indirectly responsible for me playing the Strat. It was a black Strat, terrible action, but I realized that a Strat has a very straightforward sound, unlike the Gibson. The Gibson has pickups that distort a little bit, so you get a natural distortion. And whereas the Strat, it's very unforgiving. Whatever note you hit, it's going to pronounce right in your face. So it took me a while to get used to playing a Strat. I carved out the wood between the frets to give me a concave effect, so I could get more leverage on the wood. And so that started up a whole
Generations of people are
generation.
doing that now. Even other.
Inspired, yeah.
Scalloped, yeah.
Amazing.
You call it scallop neck. I used to spend days just sandpapering the wood in between because I couldn't get over the flatness of the fingerboard, and I needed some leverage to get underneath if I was to hold a note and bend a note. And I have a tendency to put Gibson frets, very fat Gibson frets on, and take off the Fender thin ones. So that's my secret to playing badly.
Oh my God, no.
No, not badly.
What you do together, yeah, amazingly,
Yeah.
and what you both do together is mind blowing. Your band, both of you, is just mind blowing.
It's unbelievable how Candice in the beginning, she used to tell me I'd be playing certain pieces of music that were quite complicated, classical pieces of music. And she would interject and say that, by the way, that note, that third note that you're playing is not the right note. And
Only if you asked me.
and at first I thought, how dare you tell me that I'm playing a wrong note? But after a couple of years, I got used to it, to the point of where I used to turn around to her and say, what's the right note? Because I'm having trouble finding my way on this particular passage of music. And she'd go, well, play it again. And she would know it. And she could pick up a recorder and just play the notes. And that was so strange, the fact that she knew every note, and she's pitch perfect. I'm not. I just practice a lot.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the amazing things about Richie is he can never play the same thing the same way twice. So intros, solos, the band is on stage. We're always watching him like, where's this going? Is it stopping? No, he's continuing. Like nobody knows how it's going to go. And that's why when fans come to see the shows, every show is different because he always plays things differently.
Yeah.
I have a tape recorder in my head, so I can't improv like that, but he's all improvisation, and that's what makes him so great. So I say, if you don't know that third note, just go where you want to do it, and it becomes a different song or a different take on the song. And that's what I love about watching him do it.
It's great that you have that look, that technique of knowing what the note is, whereas I'm just fumbling around, improvising, and
I don't call that fumbling.
I have a way of
The genius
improvising.
at work.
In fact, the last time I saw Jimmy Page, he said to me, how do you know all those notes to play, all those runs? And I was confused as like, well, everybody does that, but apparently not. So
No, there are so many bands, a lot of classic rock bands, especially I've noticed where you can go and you can, when the guitar solo, did you guys notice when you go and hear the guitar solo, you can hum every note of the guitar solo. You know what it's going to be. It's the same when it's on the record and the same one they played yesterday and the same one they played. Doesn't make it any less great. It's great. And you know, but I know every single note of the guitar solos that are coming up in a lot of these bands. With Richie, you have no idea where he's going, when he's doing, and what's he going to do next. And it's almost kind of like, this is a really bad analogy. Yes, thank you. But Like, you know, when people have a stutter and they like they get stuck on a certain word, they can't get past that word.
I have that.
So then no, you don't. But then I'm saying they come up with, like, they expand their vocabulary so much to the point that they can pull on like 15 other words that mean the same thing. So they have an out. I feel like that's what you do with music. Like you might, like if you feel like you're stuck or you don't remember whatever note that is, you have all of these different opportunities to take, and you take all of them, and it's amazing to watch. Every night it's amazing.
Well, a lot of those notes are wrong. And John Lord, the keyboard player of Deep Purple,
Yeah.
whenever he would play a wrong note in one of his solos, he would play that wrong note again and again and again. And at first, people would think, oh, he made a mistake.
Right.
But he jumped on that mistake and kept playing it
Till it became right.
until people started thinking,
Oh, he did it
oh,
on
he meant to do that. But he was
That's
brilliant at making a mistake and getting out of it
Yeah.
and making it sound like it was planned.
Right.
He was very
So
interesting.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
When you create together, Richie, do you feel like husband and wife collaborating, or two artists sharing space kind
Well,
of thing?
we're usually arguing. We have a very volatile.
We do not.
Yes,
Stop.
we do.
We
See?
do not. No,
Yes,
we
we
don't.
do.
We don't.
And we do have a volatile relationship,
We
but
have
it's stimulating.
opinions.
We stimulate each other by arguing, by having contrary positions in whatever we're thinking. Candice is more drawn towards ballads. I love ballads, but I'm more drawn to I'm kind of obsessed with the 1500s. Whenever I hear that music, I just start shaking. I love that music so much. I never thought I would be in a position to kind of play it, even back in the Rainbow days. I used to tinker around with it, but like in here, for instance, everything's tapestries, and we're surrounded by older things. And to me,
Like Bruegel.
yeah, like Bruegel, for instance.
Like our Bruegel coasters.
those are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Look
my
at
favorite.
that.
That's our favorite when he was. But I do have this unusual
Obsession.
obsession with stuff from the 14 and 1500s.
Yeah.
I play a little bit of a nickel harp and hurdy-gurdies and stuff. The instruments from those days, they're so organic. It's unbelievable to hear those instruments. It's so far removed from the electric guitar and the Marshall amplification.
That's what I was going to ask. Is rock almost too limiting? You know, I mean, there seems to be so much more creative freedom. Just in what I hear, I don't know. Like, is that wrong? Like, there's more creative freedom in, say, would you call it medieval music or Renaissance or what? I'm not sure what the title would be, but is that a fair statement?
Like they're more staunch in what the purist bands
Okay.
to the note, don't they?
Well, they do play. Unfortunately, the purists do play the way the music was written, that
Exactly.
is today. Although back in that day, the musicians weren't very good and they couldn't read music. So they would just go from town to town with 3 strings on their kind of guitar because they couldn't afford anything else. And they would go from town to town, village to village, walking.
Wandering minstrels.
Yeah, the wandering minstrel, and telling news what's happening in the other town, and sometimes doing a few magic tricks.
Which is what you do.
Which I like doing too. But, I forgot what I was talking about.
Richie, is there any newer music that you like? Any new bands, or are you not really into the newer music at this point?
That's a question I have to think about because I don't listen to the radio, believe it or not, or probably at my age, I listen to talk radio. And I'm very political. And I won't say which side because I'll get insults.
But Trey Hensley, you discovered the other day. And you thought
Trey
he was
Hensley is a guitarist I just heard the other day on PBS, actually.
Mhm.
Incredible guitar player. Um, and the guitarists of today are so technical. They're much better than they used to be. In the old days, it was Les Paul, Chet Atkins,
Mhm.
obviously Dwayne Eddy, one of my heroes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Today, there are so many guitar players that that can play so well, and they're not even being heard, half of them.
Every once in a while, Richie does this a streaming thing called Tales from the Tavern, and it has to be when the stars align and when he's had a little to drink with his friends, with his buddies, because
That
I
might be
can't
it.
get him to write a book. He has stories about everybody. He's met everybody. He's amazing with his stories. He
Yeah.
wants, I understand his perspective. Not every story is going to be a glowing, wonderful review of people, so he doesn't want to start any problems, but I get that. But people would love to hear these stories. So
Yeah.
I said, what if we just, I know he doesn't really get the streaming thing. I'm like, but just, I could do it from my phone. You could do it at home. You don't have to go into a
Right.
studio, bright lights. Like
Yeah.
you could do it in the comfort of your own home. So every once in a while, I get him to get on there and tell some of these amazing, amazing stories. And the first one we ever did, he did exactly what he's doing now with you guys, just like, conversationally telling these stories. And people were writing in, and we do it like on Instagram or on YouTube. And he talked about Trey Hensley, and he said, there's this new guitarist. He's out there. He's frightening. His name is Trey Hensley. And he talked all about Trey Hensley. Well, we closed down the streaming thing, checked some of the comments that came in, and there's Trey Hensley who's going, I was watching it in my kitchen. And all of a sudden, Richie started talking about me. And I'm like, is this candid camera? Like, what's happening? Somebody who
Wow.
made this? He couldn't, he's like pinching. Am I dreaming? What's going on? He was so appreciative, and he's such a big fan of Richie's. And he happened to be watching while Richie was talking about him. And it was just so cute to hear that
Yeah, that
reaction.
was strange.
So it was really nice to be able to put that out there.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of Richie's favorite people out there today.
Yes, but there are so many. There are
Yeah.
an awful lot of really good guitar players.
Well, you always say the best guitarists are out there, like probably on the back porch somewhere.
Yeah, they are.
That nobody's ever heard them. They don't deal
Right.
with the industry. They're just playing for themselves, and they're amazing. But we
Yeah.
never really hear about them.
One of the
Yeah.
people,
We see all these people on YouTube, and it's like sometimes it's like it could be a 12-year-old kid doing this incredible stuff in Japan somewhere. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to throw my guitar away.
unfortunately,
A lot of talent out there.
unfortunately, they are copying
Look
Eddie
in-
Van Halen or someone like that. Of course, Eddie was the first to do that in the pop field. I mean, it was done way back in '48 by some guitar player who was playing an acoustic guitar, and he
You
was
should hear his
doing
son, though.
covers.
His son sounds amazing.
But
Looking.
that gets a little bit irritating to hear people copying note for note.
Oh, because you
So-
want to hear originality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come up with something new.
Eddie started that whole army of guitar players playing as fast as they can and doing hammer notes. And
Well, I think Loretta Lynn said to be remembered, you have to be first, best, or different,
mhm,
right? So I get that. Like to try to find that something different these
Yeah.
days is it's rare. Very fun.
so
Richie, with all the kids playing on these YouTube videos, what do you think about, like, don't you think it's more important for them to be in bands, playing with other people, interacting with other people? Do you think that's better for them?
yes, I suppose because like I said, they are just copying, a lot of them are just copying what they've heard, and they should just be playing themselves, just opening up and doing their own progressions, and instead of slowing down records and learning every note that somebody else has played. But again, I don't go on YouTube. I never go on it. And the only time I do is to look up some research on medieval music, which is very kind of unfashionable, and it's not very trendy.
But didn't you said something about like you can hear somebody play by themselves, but like a drummer can play by themselves and they could sound amazing if they send in a snippet or a
True.
tape and they sound amazing by themselves, but you slot them together in a band, or that so many people you said are amazing at solos these days, but they miss the rudiments, like the fundamentals of rhythm playing, which is what you should learn
Yeah.
first before the solo should be like after you've learned like the
That's
rudiments
right.
of playing. So I've heard you talk about some.
That's very important to learn. In the old days, people would get an acoustic guitar and start playing rhythm and then get a better guitar and then get an amplifier. But today, the mothers just go out and buy the best guitar, a Gibson, to give their son who hasn't played a note and have him plug into a 100-watt Marshall. So I should imagine that sounds like chaos in the house. But
Yeah.
yeah, too many people are involved in the effects of rock and roll. And it seems to have lost a lot of there's a lot of, to me, a lot of kind of third-rate bands just copying what's gone before and what's gone before. And it's a bit too repetitious for my liking. So I must admit, I'm pretty ignorant of what's going on. And and I'm I think I'll be becoming a Swiftie soon. If my daughter has anything to do with it.
Well, she's funny because she'll press like the same four buttons on like Sirius radio, and she's like, "There's nothing on. There's nothing on. Why is there
Yeah.
nothing on?" And I'm like, "Because you have generations of music that you could go to find out there. Believe
Yeah.
me, there's always
Right.
something you can find that you can discover.
Yeah.
It's just not on those same four stations that you keep hitting the same four stations. Go beyond that.
Satellite radio. I love satellite.
Yeah.
For that. You know, there's a
Exactly.
50s, old
Yeah,
jazz.
look at a 40 station. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hidden. It's way back, like in there somewhere. But I found one the other day. So they got all kinds of stuff. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. I love
I guess, Candice, I know you've heard the stories, so much going back to the classic days, the 60s and 70s. But, and Richie, I'm wondering for you, I mean, we hear this term, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity of rock, Purple, Zeppelin, Sabbath. What was it like to be part of that? I mean, was that mind blowing, or what was it like from your perspective?
Um,
Were you just in the moment back then doing your thing?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Okay.
It's I was just happy to be in a band. And of course, when we started, the five of it, there was a drummer, Ian Pace, who I saw when I was living in Hamburg, Germany. I said to him, if I ever get a backer, I want you as the drummer. He was an amazing drummer.
Mhm.
And I never saw him again for about a year. And then I saw him. I said, right, do you want to join? And he said, yes, because I had a backer at that point, Tony Edwards. And we got together in this house, old deserted house, and we rehearsed there. And we did our first record, and I think we did Hush. We did Hush, and that we did in 2 takes.
Wow.
And, you can tell if you listen carefully, you'll hear the singer singing a bit flat. And there was no pitch controls in those days. That was in 68. But as far as the name of the band too, I came up with the name Deep Purple because I was thinking of bands like Pink Floyd and the Moody Blues. There was all these colors, so I thought, well, we should have a color. So it was a piece of music that my grandmother used to play. When the Deep Purple falls, blah blah blah, whatever it's called. And but I was just happy basically to be in a band and to be making some money. I was kind of starving most of the time before that. I would be doing sessions. And when I was doing sessions, everything was wonderful. But if I wasn't doing sessions for a couple of weeks, there would be nothing coming in. And doing the sessions was interesting stuff. It gave you a sense of discipline. You couldn't make any wrong notes because you were making a record. But we'd be on the road so much that turned me off a little bit. I enjoyed playing Europe because Europe was always 1 hour away from England, flying wise. But when we came over here, it was so vast. I went down with hepatitis and I had to go home. And I started becoming very sick and I started to not enjoy the traveling. And Purple, even to this day, they're traveling so much. That was one of the reasons I left the band. Was I couldn't take the traveling. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't like to travel. I like to be in my home environment, and just sitting around playing the guitar. I did the our son has just arrived.
Ah.
Okay. He doesn't talk to me.
He does. He's coming.
Sometimes he does. Yes. His name's Rory. Hi, Rory.
Hi,
Say
Rory.
Hey, Roy.
Hi there.
He's the athlete of the band
Family.
of the family.
I think you guys gotta sup.
Awesome. Awesome. The drummer's
Yeah,
in the house.
For sure.
that traveling is really difficult to put up with if you don't like traveling. I found myself being at Chicago Airport or Atlanta on a connecting flight for hours waiting.
Mm.
For the
Did you have
next-
a nervous breakdown at some point too?
Well, yeah, I think we all have nervous breakdowns. Not
It's
all
too
the
much.
band, but
Yeah.
I know the Moody Blues did and a few other bands. Jeff Beck could never go on the road for more than a couple of weeks. He hated being on the road, and he liked to be at home fixing his cars. And apparently he had 32 cats.
With his cats.
Yes. Whenever I'd see him, I'd say, well, how are the cats? He'd go, oh, don't talk about those. His wife loves the cats. But yes, Jeff was a great guitar player. That was a big blow, him going. I mean, he was a vegetarian and he didn't take drugs particularly or anything. I was very shocked to hear about him dying that way. That was terrible. But
That came out of nowhere.
it did, yeah. He had a very special way of playing. It was so different from anybody. I could never. I always used to go and see him play because I found him very refreshing. And he would always put himself down. I'd say, "How is your latest record, Jeff?" And he'd go, "Oh, it's a load of rubbish." And I'd go, "Really?" And he would always say that about anything he put out. So he was always reaching for something he couldn't find. I think the Stevie Wonder thing got him down a bit because apparently, according to him, Stevie Wonder had written Superstition for him, and then he did it himself.
Yep.
So he was very annoyed about that.
Wow.
Sinus problems.
Allergies.
It's the worst
This
time
time
of
of
year. Worst
Yeah, I
time
mean-
of year.
Here in Michigan, it's terrible.
Right.
Richie, we
Michigan.
talked
I'm
to
in
John.
I'm in like just outside of Detroit, Farmington Hills.
Okay. Lions fan.
Oh yeah, especially now. But I met Shane in Philly. He's in Philly, and we worked. Shane and I used to work together. That's how we started the show in Philly.
Eagles versus the Lions. There you go.
I
I'm
know.
learning about football through my son. My son came home and said he wanted to play football and told Richie, and Richie grabbed the soccer ball. And I said, "That's the wrong football, honey. You've been in this country long enough to speak American instead of English," which my kids are bilingual because they speak both English and American. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because rock and roll wise, Detroit was always the best audience in America. Followed by
I wanted to ask you about Detroit. I was curious your thoughts on Detroit music, rock and roll, and such. Yeah.
I've been there in forever.
I haven't been there forever, but whenever
Since the
we were
90s.
there with the rainbow or the purple, they're always probably the best audience.
Mm.
in-
Stranger in Us All, we toured there
yeah,
in
and
Detroit.
Did we?
Mhm.
Nobody told me.
Oh, yeah, you were there. Promise.
But I always remember them as being the best audience. They really got into the music.
Yeah.
And of course, you've got Ted Nugent, who knows exactly what he's talking about and playing. I agree with him totally on certain things.
Mm.
Not his. I'm not,
We're animal lovers.
Gotcha.
yeah. But
Richie, I had to ask you just because we talked to him earlier this year, but John Lodge of Moody Blues, we just lost. And he was your label mate in the US, Ozzy Osbourne. Do you have any positive memories of those guys? They're also legends.
of the Osborne.
Ozzy and John Lodge from
Well, I never met
John Lodge.
John Lodge or the Moody Blues, funny enough. But
Yeah.
apparently they would always come to our shows,
Oh,
especially like when we did the medieval stuff.
Wow.
Justin Hayward would always turn up, watch the show, and then leave. He never came backstage
a
or
lot of people do in the industry. They don't want to bother. They know what the chaos is backstage and all the
Yeah.
nervousness and how you're like just trying to get on. So a lot of people who have names just come, they see the show, and then they go, okay, you know, that's enough for me. I don't want to bother anybody. And Richie does the same thing sometimes when he goes to shows. It's like, I don't want to bother the people. I know what it's like back there, so let's just see the show.
I was a big Jethro Tull fan. I'd always go to see Ian. It was a genius.
Yeah.
And once I'd seen the show, I'd leave. You know, I didn't want to go backstage, but they would always insist I went backstage, and I always felt awkward.
I know you met Ozzy though.
Ozzy, yeah. Ozzy's very nice guy. It was a very nice guy.
Because he used to be managed by Sharon too, right? Or
That's
Sharon's
right.
dad.
Yes. Sharon Osbourne's dad, Don Arden, used to be our manager of the band I was in England called the Outlaws. That was back in 62, 63, 64, 65. And we were always, so I would often see her as an 11-year-old, you know, 12-year-old. And Don Arden used to give us a lot of work. I got to play with Jerry Lee Lewis for a month, and Gene Vincent for a year, actually. And
Wow.
so
Wow.
these people were idols to me, and Don would do the introduction. And Don was known to be a little bit fierce. If you crossed him, it was not a good idea.
Wow.
He I don't know how to say it delicately.
What did Ozzy say when
Well, I remember what was going on. I mean, there was one time when Ozzy came to our show, and he came to the hotel afterwards. And my manager said, you know, Ozzy's downstairs. He wants to see you. So all the fans were down in the reception too. So I went down, and Ozzy never said much, and I'm pretty quiet. So we both sat opposite each other, saying hardly anything, which was kind of embarrassing with all the fans around us. And then I noticed that Ozzy's nose started to run. He had mucus coming out. You know, now it's coming down here, and it's hanging. You know, and he's not aware of it. So I'm in the position of, do I tell him to wipe his nose because it's down here, or do I just leave it? And all the fans are milling around us, and they're watching this, and they don't quite know what's going on. I don't know what to do. I never told him. I think if I remember correctly, it was quite a while ago. He realized it at the last minute. But it was an embarrassing situation to be in. What do you say to someone whose nose is running down?
But what did he used to call?
Oh, yes, he said, Richie is as sound as a pound.
Jack the
That's a,
Ripper.
that's a compliment in England.
Uh,
Sound is a pound.
He's a very nice guy, very humble, just very down to earth, no nonsense, you know.
Yeah.
Not like some people in the business who
Yeah.
tend to believe their own reputation. I'm not
Mm.
going to, you know.
Now
We understand.
Probably
I
meant
want you to make any enemies.
Right.
Well, this has been such a joy. Is there anything else you both would like to add at all? I mean, we are just jazzed here.
We're tickled right now.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited he joined me on this.
No,
Oh.
if it's not expected, I like to do it.
I know. He's predictably unpredictable. If you would have said that he needed to be here at this time, you wouldn't see him. But
Yeah,
when you say, I've got it, don't worry about it, he comes in.
I don't
Great.
like talking about myself particularly. I know it sounds corny, but I'd rather talk about other musicians or other situations. I find talking about myself is rather ridiculous. I just happen to be a guitar player that's practiced a lot, and I'm pretty good. And sometimes, other times,
Gene, you're incredible, sir. Incredible.
Incredible.
thank you.
So now you know what we
But
should.
I mean, compared to the people that you produce, Les Paul and Chet Atkins, you know, these people, I, I get a bit humbled when I see those guys in the old days, you know?
You know what we should mention? We've
Yeah.
got 6 tour dates coming up, right?
You mentioned them.
So,
Yep.
I forgot where they are.
well, we've got Pennsylvania,
Yes,
New Jersey, New York, Delaware,
right.
right? What else?
I don't-
They're on the website. Everything's on the website, on all the
Well-
social media pages. But you know what I love about touring America, especially, is that there's a lot of there's a lot of animal charities that have big names, and then the big name celebrities pair with them, and that's great for them. But I feel like these smaller animal charities that work 24/7, boots on the ground, see such horrific things with these animals and still are, I mean, I can't watch one of these commercials on television without going, I can't, I have to shut it off. It's too much. It's overload emotionally watching the animal commercials when they're asking for money. But the people who actually get their hands on and are amazing, they're angels on earth, really dealing with these animals that are abused and neglected. So what we do whenever we travel is we try to shine a spotlight on one of the local animal charities wherever we go. So
Great.
we've got 6 animal charities coming to our 6 shows. The hardest thing about one of them, I believe it's Tarrytown, New York, if I'm not mistaken, I know it's on the website, is that they're planning on bringing a cuddle station, which means they're going to have puppies and kittens there. And I don't know if I can make it back to the stage if I'm surrounded by cats and dogs. So we might need to rearrange the stage set, bring the cats and dogs on stage, or we need to perform in the wherever they are, in the lobby or the parking lot, wherever it's going to be. But
I didn't realize it was for the band. I thought it was for the band.
a cuddle station for the band? Oh, maybe I'm just
Maybe.
Oh, our drummer and our guitar players and our keyboard player are gonna love that. They're like cuddle time.
Yeah.
No, but so I mean, we have all the animal charities listed, and really for us, it's a matter of trying to either get things like funds donated to them, or even paper towels, supplies, volunteer time, maybe just bring awareness. So any little bit, I feel like, really makes a difference. So anytime we can bring a local animal charity out, animals ask so little, but they give so much in return. We have our little rescue cat, Winter, destroying the house somewhere, I'm sure. It's amazing. We love being able to really bring these people to our shows, and hopefully they're able to raise enough money. Sometimes we just auction off T-shirts, or we really try to get people involved with.
That's great.
So we also have about 4 or 5 new songs already recorded for the next Blackmore's Night album, and we just like 4 more. We just did in the last few days, so we got to get the producer back in after these tour dates are over. And we usually do our winter show, right? We invite the people from the street team and the fan clubs and things like that help spread the music and the word of Blackmore's Night, all the magic, year round. And they're really putting up posters and helping us get our name out. And because we're the most famous band you've never heard of course. So in appreciation for them, we have a tendency to once a year in December do like a little Christmas show that lasts for hours, and it's invitation.
Well, we do all the Christmas songs.
All the Christmas songs, yeah.
That's
fun.
most of those songs were written back in the 13, 14, 1500s. So it's right up my alley to play them. I love playing all the old Christmas songs. I don't like the modern Christmas songs, like Rocking Around the Christmas Tree or
No chestnuts.
Or Chestnuts.
I know.
I love the old stuff. You know, it's
Yeah.
wonderful songs.
Yeah.
And they have to be played properly. They're not simple songs. You have to get the root of all the chords, and it takes a while to learn to play them.
Yeah.
And I've now learned to play most of them.
Mhm.
So
Got like a double or a triple album at this point for
yeah,
Winter Carols. We keep putting it out, but with more songs and more songs and more.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a great time of year, but although it can turn sour for some people,
Yeah.
who don't have much,
Understood.
I feel badly for them.
Yeah.
She basically opens our house up to people that don't really have families or to, you
Right.
know, just having holidays with. And we have a giant Christmas party that takes over all of Minstrel Hall here. It's the name of our house. And he decorates the house amazingly. And it's like, we'll be walking through the kitchen like, who's that person? Oh, that person came with that person who came with that person. Guests of guests invite guests. But, you know, it gives them a
My
night.
friends are mostly homeless people and nobodies. And that's how I
Oh,
like
gee.
it. You know,
Give them a home.
Yeah.
they're certainly elitists.
No. So we work with the animal charities and you're working with the humanity charities.
So we have Candy makes the Christmas dinner, and we have all these people we don't really know sitting around
Right.
dinner table,
Yeah.
and it's great fun.
It's perfect to do
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So
So
that's
good.
what's going on.
Yeah.
That's our next few months in a nutshell.
Yes.
Well, thank you both so much. Seaglass is the album. It's incredible. And Blackmore's Night. You mentioned Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, on the road. We will direct everybody to the website. Is it blackmoresnight.com, I believe?
Yeah, blackmoresnight.com. It's night like nighttime, not with a K. A lot of people make that mistake, but also all the
That's right.
yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome.
And, oh my God, we got Twitter and now we've got a TikTok. Yeah, so we're all over the place. So come check it out. It's a fun time.
Candice and Richie, special guests. Thank you both for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much. Great.
Richie,
Would you
anytime you
both-
want to talk about other musicians, let us know.
Yeah, of course.
Please do.
I will tell you about Frank Sinatra.
Yes. Yes.